Welcome to the Joy of Connecting, where modern professionals share stories of meaningful connection and how it increases business success, unlocks career growth, and creates personal happiness. The show is powered by Matcha, software for communities, groups, and teams that thrive on connection. Hey, everyone, and welcome to the show. I'm here today with Eric Harrison. He is the founder of Thrive, the only community for bootstrapped entrepreneurs. He knows, because he's been there, he's done it, and he knows that more than anything else, entrepreneurs need to talk to other entrepreneurs for their business growth and, of course, for their mental health. So a huge welcome to you, Eric. We're really glad to have you here, and thanks for coming to talk with us about connection.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me, Melissa. I'm super passionate about entrepreneurship and community and networking the right way. So I love everything you guys are about as well, but just love this topic.
Tell me a little bit about, I love this question because it feels old school. What do you do for a living? But more importantly, who are you passionate about helping? I might have already dropped a teaser.
Yeah, I run a global community for bootstrapped entrepreneurs, and I'm super passionate about helping people that are building companies without raising venture capital. So like traditional services businesses or like just early stage startups that like maybe aren't at that point of raising yet. We help them get the right people in their corner. I am like a huge believer that the right 6 or 7 people saying, I get what you're building. I believe in you. I want to see you succeed just as badly as I want to succeed. It's worth more than like most amounts of money. So we just try to help people find that.
Absolutely. And as someone who is an entrepreneur and talking to an entrepreneur, we know that you can't do that on your own. So much of how that happens is the people you connect with and the little moments in time where you make a connection, a collaboration, a partnership that can totally springboard your growth. Before I ask you my next official question, I'd love to know, how are you curating that for your community? How do you foster those connections for them?
It's a lot manual. When people come in, like we host our main platform in Slack and do like live events on top of it, but people post introductions, or we'll do like a data scrape off of LinkedIn and get some understanding of where they located in the world, what industry are they, and these people that come into the Slack will express a lot of times, like, what is their challenge, why they join, who are they looking to meet? And then we'll kind of go through and connect them with people. I'm a big believer in communities. At least like you have a short window, like a 72-ish hour window for them to feel like they met somebody interesting and can relate to them and give them advice or just riff with them and feel like a friendship. So as quickly as we can facilitate those, I try to do it. Especially like if people live close to each other, we try to like tell them that super quickly.
I love that. Well, you're building a community for entrepreneurs. You have been an entrepreneur. I'm guessing that when I ask you to share a story about connection, a specific story about connection driving business growth or personal growth, guessing it has to do with entrepreneurship. Do you have a story to share with us today?
Yeah, definitely. I live in Milwaukee now, but I lived in Philly for 3 years and like had never been to a startup event or met another entrepreneur, like just did not really know that stuff existed. And when we first started Thrive, our first member ever, his name's Matt Stremski, he was like, you should meet this guy, Dan Ritterman. He built and sold a food delivery business pre-DoorDash. He built and sold it to Square when he was like 29. He still lives in Philly. He's part of a commercial real estate company in Philly. And I went and got lunch with him, but I was super nervous about meeting somebody or like meeting another entrepreneur in Philly. And he like forced me to go to this Philadelphia startup leaders event. And he's like, these are your people. I'm like 100% sure of it. Like they're all early stage folks and like I'll introduce you and walk you around, which like I didn't expect. So I was just nervous to go to it, but I went. He kind of like guided me around the event, told me who to meet. And we left with like 25 new customers. I like now am friends with a bunch of these people. I get coffee with them anytime I'm in Philly. And now I just have a super good relationship with Dan. And it's like, very much taught me like take the phone call or take the meeting. You have no idea what's going to like come of one of these relationships. And like, I almost didn't get lunch with this guy just because I saw he like wasn't an entrepreneur and was like, is this like, what is the point of me like going and doing this? But then like, learning about his background and then knowing how much he's done for me, I'm like, wow, yeah, networking can just open doors that you don't realize. And it can do some really powerful stuff.
That's so good. I love the hyper local element that you bring to your networking to find your place, not only in the group with your people, as you said, but in the location as well. I hear an advice bit already in that story, but what's one piece of advice that you would give someone earlier in their career or earlier in their entrepreneurship journey, since we're talking about that, that would help them really make those meaningful connections?
I would say a combination would be like people don't know your company exists if you don't tell them. You have to get out and talk about it. And I think particularly it's this way on LinkedIn too. It's like the same way virtual, but like particularly in person, people don't know how they can help you if you just tell them everything's great. Like
Mhm.
I feel like we get in a bad habit of these networking events of like, oh, hey, how's it going? Tell me about your company. How is it? Like, it's so good. It's so
So
amazing.
good. Awesome. Amazing.
It's like in reality, it's like pre-revenue, but they might be able to like introduce you to some amazing person that could like blast off your growth or like a mentor and like, I don't know, because like you weren't vulnerable or like honest about it. So I
Yeah.
found with these network events or in places like LinkedIn, when somebody says like, how can I help you? Or tell me about what you need, like tell them the truth. It's like, don't lie to your doctor. It's like the same concept, right? Like folks can't dive in and give you a hand if you don't tell them what you need a hand with. And then they'll try to start helping in ways that you don't need help and it's not beneficial for either of you. So just being honest about what you need help with. I'm a big believer in the entrepreneurial space that everybody wants to help people in some way, shape, or form. So to just be honest about what you need and like someone will step forward.
So good. What's a community that you consider yourself a part of that you think does connection really well, and how?
I would actually say, uh, so I guess I've now left it since I left Philly, but I was part of this group called Hustle and Grow. My friend Steven Casana runs it in Philly. It's very different from Thrive because Thrive is like larger, right? So like the events we throw are 50 plus people. Steven's group is smaller, intentional, curated coffee meetups. And
Mm,
time I went, it's much more intimate. It was like 8 people in the conversation who he like hand placed these people. You know, he did one of these every week or so. So you got invited to one for a specific reason. And what I found in them is the reason I don't like a lot of these groups is you start talking about your business and you feel like people can't relate to you because the businesses are so different or you're at different stages. And in these conversations, you could just tell he had done a lot of the pre-work matching of like 5 minutes,
mm,
realize like, oh, we're all second time B2B founders. Like that's really interesting, but it's because he did that. So I liked those a lot. I really became a fan of these smaller, intimate coffee meetups where you build stronger relationships with people and can get a bit more vulnerable and everybody gets airtime and wants to jump in and help. So I loved
mm.
going to those. I look forward to the one every month that he did, but maybe I'll have to build that out here in Milwaukee now. I don't know.
Thrive Plus. Yeah, or go on back and catch up with the old crew and sneak into one of them as a
Yeah.
throwback.
Yeah, for sure.
Well,
I think they do it. They do it really well though. I'm just a big fan of people being intentional about creating community. His like was interesting too, because like he runs a successful SEO company. He just did this for fun for free on the side because he couldn't find it in Philly.
I mean, isn't that the connective thread of all of this? Is the people that build connection are the people that do it because they love it. There are reasons for business growth and career growth and all that, but half of it is just because we are connectors. We love doing it.
Yeah.
Yep. Well, who is one other person that you consider like a total pro when it comes to connecting and building connections?
Great question. There's a guy in our group named Josh Collins. He's 22 years old. He's like building this agency called Notice Media that does LinkedIn ghostwriting / like they'll manage your inbox and like do the commenting. And I've gotten to the point I can tell when somebody in our group hires him because his like writing style is similar. So I can like pick it out, which is funny. He's so smart. Like the first time I met him, I could not believe he was 21 at the time. I could not believe he's 21 years old. Just like talks like he's been doing this for 30 years. And it's funny, like he doesn't have an affiliate link with Thrive. Like he gains nothing by adding people to Thrive. The dude has sent me like 75 members or like people. I had a call with somebody today that like joined that like Josh put me on an email thread with him 2 days ago. He's like, you're two of my favorite people from Philly. I cannot believe I've never connected to you. You probably lived down the street from one another for like a year and didn't know it. Like two
Yeah.
should absolutely meet. I just think he's really good about being intentional as well in a way that like we have these calls and like are not really pitching each other, but like there's some commonality thread that become really good conversations. He introduced me to this guy named Michael Broad, who runs this company called Haven. It's like an accounting and tax software. And I need that. Like I told Josh I needed that. And I was waiting this whole call for this guy to pitch me because he's like their partner, but he's ahead of growth. And he's never did it. He's geeked out about Philadelphia for 45 minutes to the point at the end of the call. I had to be like, are you going to sell me this?
What do
And
you?
we'll buy it. Like, are you going to sell me this? And he's like, oh yeah. I didn't come on here to like sell you this. I just wanted to jam. I think he's good about just finding people like that.
Well, funny story. Josh reached out to me on LinkedIn, and I was kind of like,
Oh my God.
oh, I kind of went, who's this guy? He's going to pitch me. Okay, first of all, it was a fantastic conversation, all value giving, and similarly by the end, I'm going, maybe I need a ghostwriter. Like I was pitching myself into his services. Yes, that is a great shout out for a total pro connector. Love it. Absolutely love it.
I think he's great at it. His strategy too. I asked him a couple times. I was like, I'm sure you have conversations like this. I find it interesting that you don't pitch. And he told me, in our space, I feel like everybody's pitch slapping. My goal is to create hundreds of like really meaningful friendships, and the people that need this will call me first. That's geez, I love
That's
it.
cool. Give, give, give. That's the way to start networking for sure, and the way to make some really valuable networking.
100%.
Well, that's about it for the questions today. I could keep you all day long. For anyone listening, you definitely want to go check out Thrive and tell all your bootstrapped entrepreneur friends to get in there and start getting value from each other. Thank you for joining me today. It's been really great chatting again, Eric.
Yeah, of course. Thank you so much for having me. I geek out over anybody that wants to talk about like connections and community. And I feel like you're an absolute pro at all of this. So thank you for having me on here. It's a time.
Sure. One last thing I just thought of too. Where should people find you? Where should they reach out and connect if they'd like?
Good question. So our website URL is thriveforbootstrappers.com. And then I'm on LinkedIn. I'm super active on LinkedIn. I'm just Eric Harrison Thrive. Reach out. Happy to jump on a call, have a conversation, geek out about anything entrepreneurship. I'm all about it.
Thanks for tuning in. If you enjoyed the episode, please leave a review to help us reach more listeners. Have a story of your own to share? Visit www.joyofconnect.ing. And do you know a community or group that wants to connect their members better? Check out what we're brewing up at www.matcha.so. Until next time, keep connecting with others like a pro. You never know where it might lead.